What's up, everybody? Happy Mindfulness Monday! Ooh, my screen looks really weird colored. Maybe it's just me. It's probably just me. Let's be real. Hello, everybody. Happy Mindfulness Monday. It's a beautiful day in Minnesota. And I'm back. I'm here. It's Monday. We're live. And I'm delaying for the first 30 seconds because we know how that works. I want to give a shout out to those of you who came to our Inspire Life Mental Emotional Mastermind this weekend. We went deep into some stuff. And those of you who were there know what we went into. It was awesome. And I wanted to bring a little bit of what we talked about during that mastermind into Mindfulness Monday because it was super valuable. We spent a lot of time on this. We have new neighbors going in next door, by the way. So I'm going to actually see if I can move because it's getting loud. What's up? Comment below that you're live. Say hello. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Okay, here we go. Michael went to the bathroom, so I figured I can come over here and talk for a brief moment. Okay, so we're going to set this up. So how to know if you are fawning or fitting in. I hope that's not too loud for y'all. Like I said, we're getting new neighbors, so it'll be fun to meet them, but the build out process has been interesting, and I can only imagine what the neighbors dealt with when I came in. So fawning and fitting in. A lot of people, when we talk about being stressed, remember our nervous system defaults into many different modes, and we all have a natural default. And we are all, very used to the fight or flight system, right? We either fight our threat or we run. We also are familiar with freeze, right? So these are more of the autonomic nervous system, how our bodies adapt to stress. Do we get angry? Do we run away? Do we avoid? There's a lot of different ways in which our nervous systems respond, both on a physical, or rather within a physical level, mental, emotional, behavioral, psychological thoughts. And so I wanted to talk today about one that I think is going to be probably a bigger one that we see in the next couple months, just with, mask mandates changing all the time and what's happening in our head versus what we're showing on the outside. And two of the other ways in which our nervous system will default when we experience stress is what's called fawning and fitting in. Now, fawning is where you play nice. This is the default of our social nervous system. And our social nervous system is the most developed and newest form of the nervous system over hundreds of thousands of years, right? From our ancestors, evolution, things like that. And so one of the ways our social nervous system defaults in stress is fawning. And you might start to recognize this within yourself, but fawning is where they call it fawning because you're acting like a little fawn is what they say, like playing nice, maybe being timid, being more kept to yourself, or people-pleasing, appeasing people. Not acquiesce is one too, and acquiesce represents when you want to riot and protest about something, but you don't, and you actually suppress and subordinate what it is you truly stand for. And again, I share this because you're going to start to see where people, and maybe you in your life, are fawning. And the first step in shifting this is actually recognizing, oh, am I just playing nice? And there's a reason why our nervous system does this, because for centuries, for eons, since our ancestors, if you didn't fit in with your tribe or fit in with the crowd and you were isolated, your chances of survival were diminished. And so we innately want to be liked, we want to be accepted, and we want to be welcomed into a tribe. And oftentimes what will happen is we will fawn just to be accepted and liked, even if the person, the relationship, or the people actually goes against your true values and is even going against your survival, which then we get into a lot of trouble when it comes to, more deeper stuff. We talk about staying in relationships that are physically abusive, emotionally abusive, because we're fawning, right? And this is where we see specifically women too, where they keep their enemies close because they want to make sure that they have a lock on their predator. And so they will play nice, they will people please. And we see this, right? Even though there's something in our head saying, this doesn't feel good, this isn't right, we have this felt sense. In order for our nervous system to feel safe and a social nervous system level, we will fawn. So that's the fawning side of things. So the first step in all of this to shift it is to, one, become aware of where, and you can feel it in your body, right? You probably feel it like in your throat. You might feel increased jaw tension. You might feel pressure in your heart, because this is where your social nervous system exists, right? To be social, to connect. You start to feel it in those areas where you're holding back saying something, or you're afraid to speak your truth. You're afraid to be direct because you're afraid that you're going to lose out on the relationship, or that someone's going to disagree with you, and there's going to be confrontation. And unless we know how to be in confrontation in a healthy way, then we start to get into the fight or flight. So you see this cascade occur, which, by the way, I have created a beta course of all this, which I'll be launching very soon. So stay tuned. It's still in the beta mode, but I go into this much deeper, and it's 5 hours plus of content, and it's awesome. So I just wanted to come in here and share a little bit. So that's fawning, okay? So first, become aware that you're doing it, and your body language, and your body will tell you. And I'm giving you basic examples in areas of where you might notice that tension, where you're holding back, you're not speaking up, right? You're not speaking directly to what you actually represent. In fear, right? Nervous system fear, that you're gonna get isolated, which that doesn't feel good either, right? The other side of the social nervous system default is fitting in. So it's very similar to fawning, except fitting in is you're not people pleasing or talking as much, or hyper socialization is another one, where you're talking all the time, right? To like be liked. Fitting in is a lot more camouflaging, a lot more chameleoning. It's a lot like being a chameleon, right? Blending in, not really being noticed. Fawning, you're talking a lot more, and you're trying to win over the threat, the perceived threat, right? Threat is always a perception. Whereas fitting in is more of kind of like apathy. You're shutting down. You're not quite in freeze mode and flight, but you're simply just blending in, okay? You're a chameleon. You're camouflaging is what they call it. So those are the two different ways. And so that may look like in your body, maybe a little bit more numbing out. You're not totally to disassociation, like freeze, but you kind of have this haze, right? Like you can sense that you're not being your authentic self, and yet you have a fear of totally standing out of the crowd. And this may look like, wearing something different than what you truly want to wear because you want to fit in with the crowd. This may look like, again, just noticing where you're doing things to be liked, noticing where you're doing things that go against your authentic nature. I'll share a story for the way this shows up for me, and it has, and I'm changing that, is I used to really fear, maybe getting more tattoos or things like that. 1 second, I'm just gonna come in. Hello. I don't know if I have anything for you, so. Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we don't have to stop the live video. We got brands. Male woman coming in. So I like to share experiences through stories, because then I think you can get a sense of relevancy for yourself and what this looks like. So something that I have overcome, but in the beginning struggled with, was the way I dressed as a doctor, showing off certain tattoos on my body. I felt that I needed to dress a certain way in order to fit into a cultural standard. And I think that this has changed a lot in our culture, where people who have tattoos, women who have short hair, men who have long hair, however you identify, right? A lot of that is changing. Tattoos are less associated with being, that you don't have your shit together, whatever it is, right? So this can look like how you're dressing, peacocking, right? So like overly doing it, underdoing it. So this is something that I have overcome over time, to be able to wear something that makes me feel comfortable, that makes me feel empowered. Playing around the idea of wearing makeup or not, right? That's been so culturally conditioned that if you are a woman and you're not wearing makeup, like maybe you're lazy or you're tired. when in reality, that's just not the truth. And the whole like beauty industry is just totally capitalized on like, unless you wear makeup, you're not beautiful, right? So this is something that I have dealt with as a woman, being a woman business owner and having this perception of how I need to look in order to be accepted as a doctor, as a female business owner, and what actually is truly aligned with how I feel most confident and empowered. So I've been actually learning to step into this more and more as I continue my healing journey and I continue working with people and actually giving people permission to wear and be who they are, because when you are who you are, your nervous system is more aligned, you're more coherent, you're more adaptable, you're more flexible, you feel safe in your body, and you're not fawning and you're not fitting in. And so now that you know this, you can see this in yourself, you can recognize it in other people. And I think this is really big in the Midwest. This is where we see like Minnesota nice, where we're like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Oh, I'm good. I'm fine. And so you see this like smiling, right? And it's this fake out where you're smiling and yet on the inside, you're actually super pissed and super angry. So then if you walk around like this, right? Like I'm neutral. People are going to think, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? This is what I'm talking about, is that our social nervous systems, we want to make sure that on the outside, what we're experiencing on the outside is coherent with our inner world. And matching the two is going to give off an energy to people around you that you're aligned, you're coherent, and you're attuned with yourself. And you're not just putting on a facade, right? And we can sense this. Our nervous system is very aware and in tune. We have this thing called a felt sense. We can sense when the energy is off within someone, right? We can sense when someone is hyper nice or hyper socialized or forcing conversations to fit in. We can sense this. And yet oftentimes we don't say anything or check in with that person because we're afraid of how it may land and we're afraid of how they're going to perceive us. And this is that social nervous system cascade that eventually will turn into fight or flight. And again, I'm just calling this out into the future with all this mass stuff. I think that's going to be a big thing that we see in businesses and stores. Unfortunately, I hope it doesn't happen, but just people getting on that defense, right? Where now the social nervous system hasn't been able to befriend someone, and now we're defaulting into fight or flight. I'll talk more about the 5 Fs, but I wanted to come on here and talk about the first 2. And I'll keep doing this little series. I'm going to be posting on Instagram in a little bit. I'll turn this video into a YouTube video so our YouTube subscribers can see and just get value, right? Because I think the more that we can understand how our nervous system defaults, we can recognize that there's nothing wrong with us. We don't have to attach to labels. We don't have to say, oh, what's up, Jen? We don't have to say, oh, I have anxiety or I have like this, right? You're living into a label. You can recognize, oh, my nervous system is experiencing anxiety, but that doesn't make you an anxious person. Because remember, your nervous system is always adapting all the time. And so when you can tune in with your body, you can actually sense it, connect with it, and let it move through versus living this lens of I'm an anxious person and I'm anxious all the time. It's like, well, you're probably feeling that all the time because your body's trying to get you to wake up to come back home, okay? So like I said, I could keep going and going. We had an awesome mastermind this weekend. Stay tuned for the beta course launching on that. It's gonna be super epic, 5+ hours of content on the alchemy. It's really alchemy, which is transforming matter, transforming who we are within ourselves, transforming this alchemizing process of moving from trauma to triumph and transforming your trauma to triumph within yourself. So it was an awesome time and I can't wait to share it with y'all at the beta price. So stay tuned. If you aren't on my list for that, because I do have a lot of people that said they want the beta course, let me know, drop your email, drop your name, or just shoot me a DM and I'll make sure I email that to you. Because when I officially launch this, it's going to be at a higher price point. So if you want the beta audio version of the course, I haven't made any videos, but you can get the audio version so you can listen to it in your car, 5+ hours of content going into this deep work. Let me know, okay? Otherwise, this week we got our monthly movement starting again. So our monthly gatherings are starting back up. We're ready to hit the ground running with that. Literally, we're gonna walk. We won't run. But that's this Thursday at 5:30. So meet here at Inspire Life. It's beautiful this week in Minnesota. So with that, I'm gonna go on a walk outside. I appreciate you all. Peace, love, keep inspiring.